All right. I'm here today. My name is Adam Penna, here to continue the conversation in 3D printing and additive manufacturing. Today, maybe you might have seen, hasn't been around too much. No, he hasn't been touring all the podcasts out there in the last 6 months, but no, I'm joking. Of course, it's wonderful to have Tuan Tranpham here today. He is, of course, the Chief Revenue Officer over at AREVO now, but a lot of background. He's now working with Composites, and we're going to get into a conversation about what's been going on with startups across the board, and also a little bit about how he's been doing during this time. So, Tuan, wonderful to have you here.
I'm super happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah, wow. I know we're just getting talks going a little bit before this started, and there's a lot going on in the industry right now to be excited about. And wow, you've been a large part of some very big, small startups that became big, and what an amazing journey you've been through. There's a lot of people that shy away from that. They won't jump into the startup because of its obvious risks. There's a lot of risks. There's a lot of reward there too. There's a lot of happening. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of disappointments. That's been an amazing journey to watch from the outside. Congrats on that. Congrats on your Dino Award last year. Well deserved. And again, great to have you here.
Thank you so much. You're too kind. I'm flattered. Thank you.
Yeah, all good. Yeah. So, talk a little bit about that. We're talking about the evolution of 3D printing. We were just before the call started talking about, the history of even stuff before additive and when 3D printing was kind of picking up pace, and, companies out there like Z Corp, where, before they became, what was going on with 3D systems and things like that, that was a big part of it, looking at some of those prototyping printers out there that were kind of taking over the market and making things happen. What was that like for you back then, getting involved and your passion that brought you to that part of the industry?
So it was kind of a little bit by accident that I bumped into 3D printing, but oh boy, I'm so happy with this accidental passion, because back then the industry was much simpler. Mm-hmm. For anything below 100,000, you either get a dimension from Stratasys or you got a Z Corp machine. There was nobody else. This is before the Envision SI from 3D System at 100K. So it was a simpler world, easier, really didn't have a competitor, because we were, Stratasys and Z Corp were both promoting 3D printing. Yeah. Imagine a world where people don't know 3D printing. The resellers of the 3D CAD company do not know 3D printing, and even the CAD company don't care about 3D printing. Yeah. So this was really about evangelizing and promoting the group and the industry, and it was only prototyping back then. So the name of the game back then was either you want a strong part or you want beautiful presentation model in full color. So that was the two pitches that were going on back then. But it's become a little bit more crowded now over the last 17 years.
Yes, it has. And welcome. It's a welcome crowded, because there's a lot of great things happening, and it's each company, even big and small companies are pushing the large company that might get a little stagnant with what they're doing, or maybe too focused on one particular technology. And we see so many things improving with the machines and the materials and the way that people are approaching 3D printing and looking at the production side of it when you go over to additive. Again, your experience lately has been with AREVO, getting things going over there. And I know you're in Boston. So how have things been going, during this time over the pandemic with everything happening? It looks like things have been thriving for you. I know that you've even started a new company from that for the bike itself, right? It's the Superstrata. And that's really interesting to see that, because there's a lot of great things happening in materials. Composites is a really big highlight. And then there's, of course, ceramics too. That's really getting a good, time right now that people are starting to invest and looking at what can be done. And the technology is just coming up to par to really make that happen. So, wow, that's an amazing, two companies right now. Talk a little bit about that and how those things have come to play.
Yeah, so I left Desktop Metal late last year. Yeah. And then I took the time off, took my family to Patagonia, which I really appreciate. Nice. They appreciate it now with COVID. Yeah. But it was really far away. But back then, I was looking at, so what's the next big thing? What should I do next? So I took my time, and I was looking to ceramic. I was looking to cement 3D printing, tissue, meat, but then composites. And I was like, well, I spent a lot of my career in prototyping and plastic. I promoted metal for manufacturing, but somehow we seem to overlook that in between you have composites. And the fact that people don't even understand composite and what it can do, I was like, that could be interesting. So I was drawn to AREVO for the robotics, feature the DED, which I haven't done before, even though I've
Yeah.
done most of the other technologies. But also, so with robotics, you have automation.
Yep.
And so I like that, and I really like the people. And it's not just a startup; it's a startup who has spent the last 6 years maturing the technology, which is very different than DfAM starting with nothing and like jumping off a cliff and building the plane at the same time. Here, I have something. I just need
Yeah.
to find a market for it. So that was refreshing. But I also came to the conclusion, what can I do different? And I tried to look at what are the biggest challenges in the industry, and it's the software, in my opinion.
Mm.
And then within the software, a lot of people are saying, well, designing for additive. And it's like, we've been pushing and promoting and wishing more people will improve designing for additive. And then I look into that, it's like, why isn't it the solution? Then it dawned on me that most of the designing for additive approaches are done still fragmented. Really, the software company, they do not understand, they're not 3D printing manufacturer. So they do not understand, they don't have the hardware, they don't have the software slicing toolpath, but they also don't understand very different material behave differently, the different parameters. And therefore, in my opinion, that designing for additive, for it to really grow, it's just like designing for additive, in my opinion, is like 3D printing. It is very broad.
Mm-hmm.
But for designing for additive, in my opinion, to really grow, is in its early days, it has to be designed for additive for that machine, for that material, for that parameter. Because if you do all this topology optimization and you say, oh, I have a better design, well, how do you make that in ceramic? How do you make that in metal? How do you make that in polymer? It's completely different.
Yeah,
And
a lot of people don't realize that.
They don't understand that. Correct. Is it isotropic or anisotropic? Is it directional?
Yeah.
So that drew me to AREVO. That AREVO is actually, if I learn anything from DfAM is in the core was really a sintering company, a furnace. That was the uniqueness that unique selling point that nobody had about the manufacturers. I would say AREVO is actually not the robotic and automation, it's actually the software, because it's really powerful.
Nice. So it's its own proprietary software. Excuse me, I'm not familiar with it. So what exactly is that software?
So wouldn't it be nice? So most 3D printing company today, all their software is mainly just import your typical CAD, take a solid, and then slicing up, and then you just print it. That is the typical process. But wouldn't it be nice if your software that came with the machine imported all the typical CAD, but will do a additive FEA analysis, stress analysis, and all the constraints, do a loop of topology optimization, and keep doing that loop. And once you're happy with that, given the parameter, you do a simulation, a virtual printing with collision detection. Can you actually make it, and with support generation? And then, before then, after all that, from importing to do additive FEA analysis and topology optimization, and then you do the simulation, and then you do print. How many companies do you know in 3D printing today that offers all that in one closure? For that specific material, for PEEK is different, for nylon is different, for that carbon fiber at that temperature, at which speed, for surface finish, or you want throughput. All that is done for that system. So it's very close loop, but you get really optimization for designing for additive is actually designing for AREVO's DED continuous carbon fiber. And this is, I think this is the right approach that all manufacturers should adopt.
Yeah, so you've really fine-tuned the approach to, like you were saying, that carbon fiber. Wow, it's a really amazing material, right? And so to be able to come up with a process to look at that, and that's the ecosystem of the process, right? You were saying design for additive, but okay, what really is happening here from cradle to grave? There's a lot to look at. And you know, a lot of people are just looking at the machine, and then they back out from the machine, and really, you know, taking it from before the design, you know, looking at the material, what the characteristics are, what you can do with the process, and then bringing it in and going through all those steps, seeing the iterations that can be made, you know, coming up with the right solution depending upon the application. That's got to be amazing with the carbon fiber side, and to see what you've been doing, and even now starting the newer company for the bike is something that's, it's just a benefit of, it's one of the benefits. Obviously, it looks like there could be many that come off of the original company. So it's interesting to see that you're doing that with software. I didn't know that side about the company, so that's good to hear.
And neither did I. So it's kind of funny that once you look on the hood, there's actually, maybe there's a reason for everything. And maybe once I looked deeper, then I was like, you guys, the software is amazing. So
Yeah.
it just got me excited. You brought up Superstrata. It's really so let me make it very clear. Superstrata is a brand of AREVO.
Gotcha.
We did such a fantastic job that actually people thought I changed job again.
Yeah.
Like, he just joined AREVO in March and now he's changing again.
Yeah.
So what we did was, as most 3D printing company, when you start out, you want to have some few hero parts, marketing parts to promote your technology. And ideally, you want to have a big brand name to do so, but it takes forever and they don't move fast. So with the experience of doing the Emery bike 2 years ago and the e-motor, e-scooter, we're like, we just do it ourselves. But we are a 3D printing company. That has not changed. But we decided to do a technology demonstrator and also a marketing demonstrator. Wouldn't it be cool that a marketing department is not a cost center, but actually a revenue generating?
Very important thing. Yeah.
But especially in this time. So we had hoped for, maybe let's do this, a marketing hack. Let's see if we can sell some bike. Let's call it Superstrata, to separate it from AREVO, because we will have many brands. Because we are a 3D printing company, you can imagine us doing baby strollers, furniture, golf club, tennis racket. So there will be many different facets. So we begun building our own marketing hero part by doing the technology demonstrator. And the bike frame was what we thought was suitable for continuous carbon fiber. And notice, it was not that we didn't like the seat tube. It's just because we are continuous carbon fiber, so the simpler unibody part geometry, it's all about the geometry, right?
Yeah.
It was, let's just cut the seat tube. We don't need it because we just have carbon fiber. So it was a fun exercise. We had hoped for this entire year that maybe the Superstrata will get us 3 million in revenue, and we are really not making money on it, but we don't need to make money on it, but we want to see if we can have these parts out, because in a way, they are my benchmark that people actually paid for. And at the same time, filling up the print farm that we are building, the largest composites 3D printing print farm using our technology. So we put 12 aquas in AREVO, Vietnam, and it's going to grow to 120 and then hundreds. And so it's a good way to fill up your own print farm. So, and hopefully with this inspiration that more bike company or new bike company, they want to enter in this space. And we start looking into this in April, May, whether we should do it. Should it be a bike? Should it be a high-end piece of furniture? We decided on the bike in late May, did sketches in June, and start printing a few prototypes in July and shot it, and then we launched it. So from sketch to idea to say let's do it, to the first functional prototype was like 5 weeks.
Wow, that is impressive. Yeah, you were talking about a lot of the applications being towards, you know, lifestyle, and then of course with the bike itself and many other applications we're getting into. A very important side of it right now is the urban mobility side. You know, everyone nowadays is looking at ways to improve, you know, what they're doing inside of their own location. Not a lot of people are wanting to get on buses anymore, airplanes and things like this. So it only makes sense inside of the urban mobility industry that people look at solutions like what you have here, and then all the benefits of how the bike is built. I'm sure there's a customization process also that can be included, or no, I haven't looked into it. Is there?
There is, yes.
Yes, yeah. So I mean, there's so many neat things that are implied and applied from 3D printing that all of those little benefits and value can be added to what is coming out now in the industry for urban mobility. And so this bike in itself, wow, what an interesting solution to pop up. And I see it in the background there, really beautiful and cool looking bike. I mean, my gosh, it's
Can you?
wow,
Did you
yeah.
see that? It's
Yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, so the price is up there, but there's a market for that, and the people that use it. So it is a fully, there's no motor in that bike, obviously, right?
So actually, so the Superstrata actually comes in two versions.
Okay.
We designed it in unibody without the seat tube, but whether you want a road bike or an e-bike, the frame was designed so you can put the battery inside or not.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
actually the same. So we really want to. So it's going to be good for the industry
Yeah.
that we're doing this, but we're also showing with that designing features that you can have a bike that doesn't look like an e-bike that doesn't look like an e-bike. It is cool, but the mass customization is really what's interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I know that with the startup mentality, it's important to have those kind of value benefits into what you're doing out there. And everything that's been happening in our industry, there's a lot of startups, of course, that you've been highlighting that have had success in the market today. What do you see as some of the ones that are kind of not in the picture, or people might want to look at that aren't paying attention to now?
So I think there's a lot of interesting technologies coming out. So
Mm-hmm.
with a recession, if you look at the last recession, well, a lot of talent was deployed or let go,
Yeah.
but they still love 3D printing. So you should expect a lot of innovation to still come out of those. Newer metal technology, faster metal technology, MHD, what Xerox is doing, it's interesting. But short term, I would say I'm interested. I like Inkbit, what they're doing, Inkbit, MIT's, because they are taking 3D printing to the next level. Why do 3D printing systems not have eyes and brains? Well, what do I mean by that? Why do they not have, for real manufacturing, why do they not have vision and data and machine learning so that you can actually don't have to worry about your deposition rate or speed or quality, because once you have that data, you can offset in the next layer of deposition. So that is interesting to me, to have eyes and brain.
Yeah.
And it's really about, if we are to move 3D printing, regardless of material, into manufacturing, the quality has to be high. You have to in situ quality management, but you definitely need productivity. So what Azul 3D is doing outside Chicago is interesting, really strong material property, but doing it super fast. So I think throughput and speed is extending what HP and Carbon were already doing. So I would say those two company is interesting to me. But on the metal side, making laser part of it more affordable, like one-click metal powered by Trump, is exciting, because the two things that I like about one-click metal is the ease of use. All these are cartridges, making it safer for the customer. But it was also designed with modularity for reliability and ease of service. So that a lot of the component that could have failure is now consumable. Therefore, your uptime will be better because you just replenish those as a consumable. So I like these new fresh approach. And those come from smaller company, which is why I always like smaller startup, because you can make a difference and you can take risks. You can do crazy stuff like Indiegogo. Let's say let's do a bike because we can. And now the challenge is, let's make it and let's take it to the next level. And if Shanola, Ducati want to be in the e-bike market, which was perfect timing for us. So the COVID actually helped us with the depletion of supply chain in China, Taiwan, not being able to get bikes. We're doing it using robots. So our timing could not be more better time.
Yeah, that is exciting. It is a weird combination right now, a perfect storm of companies are actually stepping up and doing different things. And then with the change, there's becoming more of a need for those kind of quick solutions to happen that are very advanced. And, this advanced manufacturing technology we're seeing with the robotics, with the AI, with a lot of the different customization that's going on, really interesting, intriguing to the market out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing all the new things that are coming out. And you talked a bit about, what's going on in the industry. I think the first, it was about the first 15 years, it went from, was it the 1 billion mark to the 10 billion mark after about 15 years. And then now we're looking at going from 10 billion to 100 billion in the next, 5 to 10 years. So, wow, there's a lot of amazing opportunity out there. And obviously a lot of need is happening inside of what we're going through right now. So it's important to have companies like AREVO and then things that are springing off with the advanced mobility, the ability to actually have something so customized that is now made with a specialized material. I have a great friend of mine who is a big bike enthusiast. And when you posted that, I went ahead and forwarded it to him. I said, hey, what do you think of this? And he was like, wow, that's really interesting. I want to ride one, So the interest and the need is there. And it's a beautiful thing when you can help the community with the product. That is really the crux of what we're doing here, is helping each other improve, and these are the processes that improve manufacturing, that improve the communities out there, and improve the lifestyles that we all have. So what a great industry to be part of. We talked a lot about a lot of great things, and it's wonderful to have you here today. Is there any events coming up, or is there a website that people could find out more information?
So we were hoping and planning for initially for Formnext and Eurobike.
Yeah.
But with COVID, we postponed everything. So everything is online. We will be starting a series of webinars talking about our journey for the e-motor, the e-scooter that we were supposed to launch at JEC in Paris back in March. So what we are doing right now, I would say, will probably be like a roadshow. We are optimizing the Superstrata for production version. And I hope to have a few of those very soon. And I will be driving around downtown Boston and showing people and let people test driving it, because
awesome.
You have to make it real, right? Because people are skeptical, like, okay, you're only skeptical until you sat on it and drove it.
Yep, so just like my buddy that wanted to ride it right away, right? That's the first reaction you get. Let me go test drive it, and then the rest, you get the feedback of how good it really is after that. If the customer enjoys it, it's on, so that is beautiful.
But let me share you some insight. We actually had more people buying the e-bike than the road bike. So e-mobility, the electric feature was really in high demand. But think about it. People want to be healthy. They don't want to drive around. They don't want to commute in buses and trains and planes. Forget planes, but for urban mobility, the e-bike is going to be the way moving forward, and also e-scooters. So this is going to be huge. I wouldn't be surprised there will be a lot of more people looking to e-mobility. And what's interesting is, when we did this, all the bike companies, all the cyclists is like, wow, this is not less than 1 kilo. Well, it's not a $10,000 Tour de France winning Pinarello, okay? This is a bike for people, the first-time buyer who want to be healthy, who want to have something that looks cool. It looks like an $8,000 e-bike, and we're selling it for $4, and Indiegogo, you can get it for $2. It's like 90% of our buyers are actually first-time buyer because they want to be healthy, they want something that looks cool. And hopefully it won't be stolen in the first week they're using it, but
hey, internal tracking system, right? Hey, what an idea.
That's why we have security.
Yeah, that always has to be built in nowadays. And such a beautiful bike. It's, that's a prime target. So, oh boy, right? But well, good to know that you're doing a lot of great things to keep that up to par with what's happening, and to also be paying attention to the customers out there, because, of course, the customer is the most important thing. We could come up with all the great ideas, but if nobody wants it, what's the point? So, really interesting. Well, again, hey, thanks for being here, Tuan. It's been wonderful to talk to you, and I look forward to seeing a lot of great things coming from you in the future and all the things you're involved in. So let's keep in touch, and you have a wonderful day. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for
all right, Tuan. All right, no problem. You take care.